Okay, you can start.
Thanks, sir. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the edition of this consulting course. This is a webinar whereby we can interact and have a conversation on how your consulting career can be, how being a consultant can help you out, and how this course has been designed. So this webinar is more like a kind of a platform for us to interact on multiple things, multiple queries that may come in your mind when we talk about consulting. Because as part of the course, it's more like a one-way communication where you have gone through the courses and stuff, where we answer queries over email. But this webinar is for a kind of interaction amongst us. So what are going to be the discussion points for us for the next 1 hour? So the first thing is, I personally want to explain the thought process behind the chapters in the course, like why we structured the course in a particular fashion. What is the thought process behind it? Because I strongly believe in one fact that if you understand why, I need not tell you what to do. So here I'm going to explain why we have designed the course in such a way so that you appreciate and you do the right things to get into the consulting career. And consulting opportunities, what kind of opportunities exist in the consulting space? That's something we are going to discuss a bit more. And as career, how is consulting? So that's something I kept it as a discussion point so that if you have any questions on that, we can discuss more. And finally, if you have any more queries, we can discuss that too. So we'll move on to the first topic of the day, the course structure. So what is the structure of this course? Why did we decide certain things? If you have noticed, we would have given like 7 key modules overall with consulting industry outlook, the deep dive into consulting, the consultant's toolkit, mindset and skill sets, domain foundations, consulting engagements approach, then careers in consulting, the case study analysis, and the cracking case interviews. This is how we have designed the flow of content in this consulting course. Why did we decide this flow of content? First of all, we wanted to start with the bigger picture. One thing we would have iterated again and again in the consulting courses, when you want to be a consultant, you should always think of a bigger picture and then see where things fit in. So in this webinar too, in this course also, we have structured it in such a way that we wanted to give you a bigger picture of what the consulting industry is all about. How is the outlook being looked upon? And then slowly we deep dive into the consulting to see this is called funnel approach. That is, you start with the bigger picture and then you come to the smaller granular things of consulting. That's what we have tried creating here. So once you deep dive into consulting, the next step is we wanted you to understand what kind of mindset you should have to be a successful consultant and what are the skill sets you should carry to be a successful consultant in the consulting world. To have the right mindset and the skill sets are very much needed before we get into the kind of the hard skills or the technical knowledge that you may need to have a strong foundation in the consulting career. For that, we have included domain foundations whereby we are introducing you to different concepts across different functions of an organization. So any organization, if you take, you will realize that the organization are broadly classified into multiple functions like finance, marketing, HR, operations, IT, and strategy is something which is more like an horizontal cutting across all these verticals. So these we call it as the domains in a way, and the industry knowledge and the domain knowledge are very much needed for a person to be a good consultant. Because in consulting, you are expected to cover the breadth of all and the depth of one. So, are you equipping yourself with the breadth of all, that is, getting exposure to as many areas as possible? Because when you go and talk to the client, you may not realize what topic he is going to pick up and talk about, what problem statement he is going to share with you. So, when he shares something new, you cannot cut a sorry figure in front of the client and say that you do not know what is that. You will get back to him. Yes, there is always the escape route that you will get back to him with the right response or with the right expert. But it is always healthier to have a good conversation with the client by choosing the right responses for the questions. So, from that point of view, we believe that domain foundation is something which is essential because we give you the direction there to help you understand what you can cover as part of the domain. and what kind of things you can learn on top of it. Because we know that when we talk about industry and domain, we cannot cover everything as part of any course for that matter. So we are giving you directions here so that you start walking in those directions, gain knowledge, gain insights, and then overall, in a period of time, you pick up and become an expert in an area you want to be. So once you cover domain foundations, you should also understand how the consulting projects are implemented, or how consulting projects are engaged. We call it as engagements with the client, and the client chooses a consulting vendor, and the consulting vendor decides how the project is going to be executed depending on the problem statement. So here we have defined a standard approach of how every problem statement is approached by the vendor, that is a consulting firm, with the client, and how those problem statements are broken into smaller pieces and then solutions are provided, what kind of methodology a consultant follows. There is no one straightforward solution for any problem in the consulting world, but what we tried giving you here is a flavor of how most of the problems are approached in the consulting space and how engagements are delivered to the client. So that's what we wanted to give you a flavor of in this particular module, consulting engagements approach. And then slowly we got into careers in consulting. So careers in consulting is a place where we have started giving you an option of what kind of career opportunities you may have in the space, what kind of preparations you may need to have additionally on top of the above modules to get into a career in consulting. Then we also try to give you a flavor of how case studies are cracked in the interviews. Because when you sit for a consulting interview, the case studies are something which are being covered. So you need to have a very clear-cut idea of how the case studies are being cracked, how you approach the case studies, how you approach the identify the problem in the case study, removing all the symptoms of the problem, and how you break them with the help of tree structure to find out the real core issue and then come up with a solution for the problem. And then finally, we also have dedicated a module for cracking case interviews. How can you crack case interviews? Aram say, because any consulting firm, when you sit for a job interview, they are going to give you a case and they are going to ask you to solve the case in a short span of time in the interview. So you should know how to approach a case study. You should know how to crack a case interview. So we started with something like an outlook of the industry that is of the broad picture, and then we have come to the last necessary things that you may need to crack consulting interviews. So that's how we have brought it from a bigger 50,000 feet level to the ground level of what you may need to get into consulting as a career. So this is the thought process we had for while deciding the course. So if you have any questions, you can ask us in the chat window. We'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you. Then we moved on to, if there are, I mean, I'll just give a moment. If you have questions, you can ask me. If not, I'll move on to the next topic. Okay. With that, I'll move on to the next topic, consulting opportunities. So to discuss about what kind of opportunities that exist in the consulting world and where you can fit in. So I've just picked up one of the important slides from the PwC world. This is available in public domain. Like this is specifically with respect to HR. So as I told you, an organization is more like a human. Just like a human body has different problems, and there is a specialist doctor available to solve problem in every part of the human body. Even in the case of organizations, there are a lot of different parts or different specializations or different domains or different departments, we may call it in different terms. So for every department, There may be a specific problem and it may need a specific set of skills to handle those problems and solve the problem for the client. As I was telling you in the previous DOA section, there are multiple domains in an organization. Domains as in finance, marketing, HR, operations, IT, strategy. These are multiple domains. You need not be an expert in one particular space, or you need not be an expert in all areas to get into consulting. I'll put it that way. All you need to be is to be very good in one particular space. Let's say, for example, you are very good in running operations of a company. You have specialized skill sets, specialized areas, your specialization is operations, and you are very good at it, but you're not good in other spaces. So, as I told you, you can cover the breadth of all other areas, but be an expert or cover the depth of operations alone. Then, operation consulting is a space where you can find opportunities. If you're really good in HR, let's say you have done MBA in HR, then you may have a question like, okay, boss, I'm an HR specialist. Do you think I can get into consulting? Yes, definitely. You can get into consulting. So looking at this slide, you can easily identify that an HR can find themselves to be relevant in the consulting space in different dimensions. So for a moment, look at the different opportunities that are available in the HR consulting space. In fact, you can see that HR technology advisory services is there. That is, you are an IT guy and you have worked on a lot of projects related to HR. So you know HR and technology together. You know how technology can help HR. Then HR technology advisory services is a very good space. I know a lot of people who are working in different projects in consulting related to HR technology implementation. Let's say, for example, Workday implementation. Workday is a HR ERP tool which is available and which is popular. People know that. PeopleSoft. That's another technology which is available in the space. People can join there. So you need to know what you are good at. You need to know where your experience is. You need to know where your expertise is. If you have experience and if you have expertise available in a particular area, then definitely there is a corresponding job opportunity or an area where you can find job opportunities in consulting. All you need to do is do the right mapping of your skill sets versus do the mapping of where those skill sets are being used, what kind of problems are being solved with the help of the skill sets that you carry. When you understand that mapping, it is easier for you to find opportunities in those areas. I hope you understand this mapping exercise which I'm talking about. That will give you a very good idea of how this whole consulting works and how you can find opportunities in consulting. So look at this change management consulting, where people element is involved. So I've seen most of the IT companies using this particular service. Like IT companies, when they implement large transformation projects, let's say, for example, an IT company is going through digital transformation journey. From a regular mindset, people are changing to a digital transformational projects. When they do that, there is a lot of change management that is needed on the company side to change the mindset of the people so that they are moving on to the newer organizational mindset which they may have. That's something which is very important. So change management consultants are really helpful in having workshops with the candidates, having conversations with them to understand what they need, how this can be delivered, and that's how they ensure that there is a strong change management process put in place. The people change their mindsets to adopt the new technologies that are being implemented. So there is a problem available in different forms with the client, and your skill sets can be of help to solve any problem of the client. All you need to know is what is your skill set, what is your expertise, what is your experience, and how it is mapping to the problem side of the client and where you can help them to solve the problem. That's where consulting really helps. So looking at in the same way, let's say, for example, strategy consulting opportunities. Just like I gave you the HR, I'm just taking another space. Do you think strategy is not is only needed for larger organizations? That's always a myth people carry. Even I used to have this myth like before joining the consulting companies. Like only larger organizations think about consulting, think about hiring a consultant because consultants are so expensive. But only after joining consulting, I realized that the consulting business is open for everyone. The consultants can help any kind of company. So here, let's take the small example of startup business. Today, there is a new company coming up. They are just setting up their business. What kind of support they may need from the consultant's point of view? If you are a strategy consultant, what kind of support you may provide for these startup companies? So one, you can develop a business case on what to do when, how it can be done, or how the customer can be satisfied. I mean, so customer can be convinced with your product. So you can develop a business case there. That is one way. The second one is the growth strategy. So how businesses can grow from X to 3X or 4X in 1 year. Consultants can really help the organization, the founders, the venture capitalists to help on deciding the growth strategy for the firm. The financial planning, how much money may be needed to run the startup. So what kind of support is needed, by when the money is needed, are they needed at one shot or in tranches? The financial planning exercise for a startup can be done by the consultants. How they can build brands, because many organizations, they are good in running the operation side of the business, but they do not know how to brand themselves to charge a premium on top. So consultants can help in building the brands. Then market expansion, like sometimes the companies are stuck in one market. They are very good in doing things in one market, but they do not know how to grow to other markets. That is usually a challenge. So I myself have done a kind of a consulting for a startup. It was more like a small company in Lucknow, which was a bakery, I would say. It's not even a company. So they had a couple of branches in Lucknow. It's a bakery, and they wanted to expand. So one generation has started it as a small bakery, and they have moved it as a good Monganese kind of a bakery in Lucknow, a reputed brand. But they do not know how to expand. They do not know how they can make the revenue 3x or 4x, or how they can expand to other markets. So as a consultant, I was trying to understand their business model, was trying to do a SWOT analysis for them, understood that the strength lies in their manufacturing, like their operations, that is how they make the cakes, the taste of it and stuff, and how they can expand to other markets. That's where I started coming up with a lot of recommendations like B2B, how they can grow within Lucknow, that is one, and B2C, the same model, how they can replicate it in other states. So if they want to expand like 2 stores into 20 stores in 2 years, what could be the strategy for them? Can they go for franchising? Can they go for setting up their own stores? How they can do it? That's how I started supporting them. And then slowly they were able to see business growth in the way I promised, in the way I projected for them. They were able to see opportunities. So startups can also take the help of a strategy consultant to develop themselves into a kind of a reputable brand and grow themselves. Same way, small businesses, medium-sized enterprises, large Indian businesses, and large MNCs. So let's take the other example of large MNCs, which is on the other side of the spectrum. What kind of support they may need from the consultant? So, do you think they will really need the help of a consultant, because having grown the business from scratch till the to the top, do you think they need expertise from outside to solve their problems? Because this is one common question that's being asked by the CXOs always. When we go and talk to them, the first question that they ask us is, do you have enough expertise to come and solve our problems? We are in this business for 30 years, 40 years. We know what we are doing. We know our problems. We know our solutions too. You need not help us. That's the first straightforward counterpoint you will receive from a client. But many a times, the consultants, when they're able to share the real problem faced by the client, the clients really appreciate, because when you are too deep into the problem, many times you miss the simpler points which can solve the problem for them. That's where the consultants come in with the third view, with the third party view, with little emotions attached to the business. And these problems already handled for different clients. When they come with all these things, of course, the client really appreciates the value that is being brought by the consultant to solve these problems. So the same thing like strategy country-wise, what kind of strategy can work for a MNC? A consultant can help you there. What kind of channels can help an MNC to grow? So today they are into traditional marketing. Do you think the digital marketing can help them? And how digital marketing strategy can be developed for a client? That's something is again which can be used. Then benchmarking, developing a business case again, and how to come up with a good competitive strategy to remain at the top. Let's say, for example, Dabur versus Patanjali. Patanjali is coming into the business, Dabur is trying to survive. Dabur may take the help of a consultant to see how they can survive against Patanjali. So that will add, I mean, a consultant who is working in that space can do a proper analysis of different players and come up with some innovative ideas to ensure that Dabur grows at the same pace as it was before Patanjali. So these are some of the opportunities a strategy consultant may find in the market. So I'm sharing from the corporate point of view for the simple reason that you understand how the corporates work. When you understand how the corporates work, it is easier for you to find opportunities in the consulting space by talking in the same language. So that's where the real support or real opportunity identification would come into picture. Okay. I hope you have understood this. With that, I'll take a pause before I move to the next section. So if you have any questions, please type in the chat window. I'll be more than happy to answer your question. Okay, I'm just moving on to the next section, consulting as a career. So this is something which we have discussed in the modules also, but I wanted to include it here for the simple reason that you need to understand how the whole organization is structured and where you can fit in. Okay, this is something which I keep on guiding different people, because many a times people have this perception that okay, I have done MBA from this reputed B school, so I should fit into this level and not at the junior level. And sometimes an engineer who has done a good who has done an, engineering from a good college or from a tier 2 college may think that okay, where will I fit in? Okay, so you need to understand that this is the general structure that is followed in some firms. Okay, it starts with associate, then senior associate, or sometimes it's called consultant, senior consultant, and then manager, senior manager, director, and partner. So in some places, it is also split up like below associate, you may have analyst and senior analyst also. So if you are coming, if you do not have a strong pedigree, pedigree is something which most of the consulting companies look at, especially the tier 1 consulting companies like McKinsey, BCG, and stuff. They look at the pedigree there. But if you're coming from a tier 2 college or something, definitely I would say that tier 2 consulting firms, many consulting firms are open for hiring. They do not look at the pedigree much, but all you need to do is you have to structure your career in such a way that you join at a junior level. But if you really have the abilities, you can grow faster in the consulting firm. That's one big plus point of the consulting. The thumb rule here is you join as an analyst. Analyst to senior analyst, you can grow within a year or two if you're really good. Analyst to consultant, again 1 or 2 years. Sometimes you can even get promoted within a year. Year on year, you can get the promotion if you're really, really good. So it's all driven by the performance beyond a point in consulting. And as you go up the ladder, it's easier. Even when people are moving from the industry with 7 years, 10 years of experience, when they try to come and join the consulting, sometimes they are not directly offered the leadership position like director or senior manager there. They are offered something junior for the simple reason that they have to get used to the consulting career. And that's the reason tier one consulting firms, they do not hire anyone at the senior level. They hire people at the mid firm level or the junior level, and they try to absorb them. So that's something which you need to be aware of. Okay. So don't worry about the levels. Get into the consulting. If you're really good, if you have been hired at a junior level also, you can grow faster in consulting. That's the best part of the consulting. So I would always suggest look at joining consulting at whatever level that is possible for you. Okay? Then what kind of experience and expertise that is needed for a consultant? Okay. So if you're eyeing for a consultant role, there is junior consultant, then you should be very good at soft skills, that is making good presentations, communication skill, then the structured thinking, that is the funnel approach which I spoke about. That's something you should be very good at. And as you go up the ladder, like senior consultant or something, you should be really good in project management and also how to sell across. Because once you become a project manager, it's not only about delivery. Delivery is something you're expected to do, no doubt. On top of delivery, what additional value you're bringing to the table? Are you able to uh, bring more business? Are you able to penetrate an account? Are you able to bring new business? So, are you doing something additional for the company, for the practice, for the project, for the client? So, that's something which is expected at the project manager level. So, beyond a point, everybody will have a kind of a revenue tag attached to it. So be prepared. I mean, it's always the case. Like in any company, if you observe, as you go up the ladder, most of the companies appreciate people who are bringing in revenue, because only when you bring revenue, it's easier for you to grow fast in the ladder. Is it tough for you to bring revenue? Uh, we always start with the response like, yes, it is very tough. I don't know how to do it. I don't know whether I have the necessary skills to sell, but we all get used to it. Okay, we always get a mentor of the corporate world who can teach us like how to sell, and we start doing it. So this is where there is a bigger problem when people move from the services industry to the uh, consulting industry. Like people in the services industry with 15, 16 years of experience, when they come and join the consulting industry, they are used to delivery continuously, but suddenly when they're asked to sell along with the delivery, they do not find them as a good fit there. They start feeling that okay, I'm out of place, I'm not in the right company, kind of. But people who are groomed from the consultant level in the consulting company, they are completely trained again and again with this mindset, and they do not find it challenging for them to fit into this culture and do more apart from the project delivery. Okay, I hope you understand the difference here. So this is where the major differences stand with respect to the senior and the junior roles in the organization. Okay, good. So do you have any questions here? I'll give you a pause. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Okay, so if there are no questions in the section, we are moving to the last section, like some questions which you have got from the previous editions, like some interesting questions which came from the participants. I just have covered it here so that it is easier for you also, because the problems are similar for similar people. So I believe the participants will also have the same set of questions in their mind. So I'm just sharing this across. So what are the various resources through which I can prepare for my consulting interviews, and what all I should prepare for the interviews? Okay, this is something we have covered extensively in the course here. One is the Vault Guide, which I would always say that that is important. Practice more on cases, practice more on case interviews, participate more on storytelling with data, importantly. So these are things which you may need to practice. And for all these things, online resources are available to a greater extent. I myself have shared it in the case interviews, like what kind of links that can be referred. So Vault Guide is something which I would always recommend. Check that out. Okay. So moving to the second question, I am an undergraduate student and I wish to do an internship in summers 2018. So now 2019. So any tip or any advice on finding a valuable opportunity? Yes. See, one thing if I have to tell you, if you're looking for an opportunity to do internship in consulting, see, all consulting firms are partnership firms. They are driven by partners. So I always recommend this thing like connect to partners in LinkedIn. So pick up the first step is identify the list of consulting firms which you would like to target. One. Second thing, connect to the partners. And even before that, I would say the second thing is identify the practices or the area in which you would like to do your internship on. If you're a HR guy, if you're an operations guy, if you're a marketing guy, so what kind of area you would like to be specialized on, choose that area and identify the corresponding practices in that company. Like what are the practices which are associated with this area of specialization? That's the second thing that you need to do. Identify the areas. First is identify the company. Second is identify the area of the practice. And the third step is once you identify that, identify the partners who are associated with that particular practice or the company. Then connect with them in LinkedIn. Okay. Once you identify all the partners, the first step is connect with them in LinkedIn. Request them. Treat them as a mentor. Talk to them. Ask for an appointment. Express your interest to do 2 months of internship. Don't ask for any stipend or anything or salary or anything because you're there to learn. Because every time intern is being seen as a burden in the corporate world, in many corporates, or they look at them as a cheap labor in a way. That is a problem. So when they're considered as cheap labor, uh, paying a stipend is always a challenge. Okay. So I would say that this is where you may need to connect with the partners and check for an appointment, make a request to them for internship, and I'm sure most of them will respond. Okay, so try that approach. Definitely, finding an internship should not be a challenge. And of course, there are different websites also available like internshala2019.com and stuff, where you may find different opportunities. Keep that also in mind because those are areas where you sometimes you may get consulting internship opportunities also. But the best route is always going through the LinkedIn connects and stuff. That's the best possible route. Okay. So moving on to the next question, I have heard from my seniors that initially at any consulting firm, you are given a complete backend work, a complete desk job. Is it true that analysts do all the backend work like making PPTs and research documents? Okay. Good that the question is asked or carefully coined the word backend work. We call it as a dirty job in a way, to put it in simple terms. Yes, the analysts and the consultants are the ones who really start with such kind of work, like working on Excel sheets, working on presentations and stuff, preparing reports and stuff, no doubt about it. But that is the way to begin their career. For the simple reason, without doing these things, you cannot understand what a consultant or a senior consultant is expected to do. Because this is a structured way of learning. You're starting with a kind of a mundane task, but those mundane tasks are going to teach you a lot of things which you may not realize now. But as you go up the ladder to become a consultant or a senior consultant, you will realize that you have learned a lot from these documentation and the kind of presentation work, which is going to help you to a greater extent in preparing or in presenting the right relevant things to the client. So it's a skill set that people try to develop actually. So I would say that that's something which people don't appreciate when they are at the junior level. But as you go up the ladder, you will really appreciate that. That is always there. Okay. So moving on to the fourth one, CV is one of the most crucial things. How do you suggest to create a balanced CV? Where should I put more focus? Academics, co-curriculars, extracurricular, and also a lot of things like position of responsibilities in the college clubs and institute. Okay, good. So for a consultant CV, I would always say that the overall profile should be a versatile one that is equally balanced in all the sections, no doubt about it. But there should be a spike in the CV, a spike at one point which will show that okay, boss, this guy is known for this, or this girl is known for this. The spike in the CV should be exhibited. So what is that spike? That is something only you can decide. It can be in your extracurricular activities or it can be in your co-curricular or a academic point of view. Generally, for a consultant, academics is something which is very serious. That's where the pedigree comes into picture. So academics is something which you should strongly meet it on. That is, put more meat there. That is, weightage there. Add good points. Try to highlight it, and try to balance the rest of the things. It's more like the breadth of all sections and depth of one section, that is academics. Okay, that's how you try to present yourself as a more versatile candidate with a strong pedigree. Okay, so that's how you build your CV. Good. So next one. Next question. Is there any specific examination that can be given? For example, in finance, we have CFM certifications or repeated exams like CFA and FRM. Yes, definitely. There are different options which are available for people. One I would always suggest is one that is always available is for finance, CFA, FRM, CFA level 1, level 2, level 3, FRM, in CFM, all these certifications are something which a person has to complete. For operations, it's more like project management, that is PMP, the black belt certification, Six Sigma, all these things are in the operation space. Marketing and HR, I would always say that there is no certification needed in this space because your versatility or your proactiveness will always get exhibited in different things that you have done, which comes out in the CV. Okay. If you call yourself as a marketing grad, you would participate in a lot of things. You are actually a proactive person. You would participate in a lot of things which gets reflected in the extracurriculars and the positions of responsibility. So I would say that certifications are not needed for HR and marketing people, but for finance and operations, certifications really help. Okay. So moving on to the next one. Do the B school subjects really help you in becoming a good consultant? Yes, no doubt about it. B school students subjects give you a wide variety of opportunities, give you opportunities to understand how the organization work in a way. Okay. So first year, you get to understand every function of an organization, how they are coming together for an organization to function. And then you become a specialist in one of the functions. Okay. So again, I will go back to it. Sorry for repeating this again and again. First year is the breadth of all. So you understand how the whole organization works. Second year is the depth of one. You choose one area and you try to become specialized in that area. So you cover the depth there. Okay. The B school subjects are really helping you to become a good consultant. No doubt about it. Okay. Then moving on to the last question. Deal origination in consulting. That is how consulting firms are approached by their clients. Okay. That's a good question actually. Uh, there are multiple ways. I'm sure when you study marketing, you will understand different things like market development and business development. One, sometimes the client directly calls the consulting office or he gets in touch with the consulting person and he is asking for help in a particular space. That's something which will happen regularly through industry events where people get to connect between industry people and the consultants can meet there. That is one. Or consulting companies organize their own events in the market whereby people come together for panel discussions and stuff. They're invited for cocktail dinners and stuff. So where they exchange their visiting cards and they share about their problem, where consultants can come and solve it. Or many times the consultants have this habit of managing relationship because relationship marketing is one important thing in the services business. And consultants have this habit of maintaining relationship with the client by regularly meeting them, having a conversation with them, engaging with them to find out what kind of problems they have and how these consultants can help. So when they maintain such excellent relationship with the client, with the customer, if there is a problem faced by them, they would definitely approach them, asking them, can you please help me in this area? That's how the deal originations happen in consulting. Okay. I hope you have understood these things. These are the areas I wanted to cover in this webinar. Okay, with that, we have come almost to the end of the webinar. Unless you have any questions, I think I have covered most of them. Okay, I'll just give a moment. If you have any questions, please ask me. Be more than happy to answer. Okay, good. Arun, are you there?
Yeah, Lakshman.
Yes, sir. I think we have covered the core sections of the webinar.
Yeah. Okay.
So we don't have any more questions also. So I
Uh,
think we are good to close the webinar, I believe.
okay. There's no other questions, so we'll close it now. And if there's any other questions, we can answer via email. Okay.
Sure, definitely. Definitely, Arun. Yeah.
Okay, man.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye bye.